came out, and we shook hands. He said, "Mr. Williams, I am the little boy that put that rope down the center of the auditorium."
When we first started out, we made a vow that we would not change, because we had heard about Frankie Lyman leaving the Teenagers and Tony Williams leaving the Platters, so we made a vow.
At 82, Otis Williams has finally confessed something we've all been suspecting. After decades in the spotlight, his startling admission casts new light on the tough realities he faced within the legendary group, The Temptations. What has he been hiding all these years, and why come out with it now? Let us dive into the hidden stories and uncover the urgent truths Otis Williams has chosen to reveal. Detroit's musical revolution. In the vibrant and challenging streets of Detroit, where the sounds of Motown began to echo through every neighborhood, Otis Miles Jr. immersed himself in the burgeoning music scene. As a young boy fresh from the quiet life of Texarkana, Detroit's energy was a stark contrast, filled with possibilities and a rich tapestry of musical influences. The city was a melting pot of talent during the Great Migration, drawing hopefuls from all over, each carrying dreams of breaking into the music industry. Just as Otis was about to make his mark, he found a mysterious note under his door, a message that could change everything. The young Otis, with his background in gospel and his heart full of ambition, quickly found that music could be more than a passion. It could be a way forward. In the crowded clubs and busy streets, he met like-minded individuals, each with a story of their own, each with a voice to be heard. It was here that Otis's path crossed with David, Eddie, Paul, and Melvin. Together they formed a bond, not just through music, but through shared experiences and aspirations. As the Temptations, they rose to prominence, their harmonies and rhythms becoming synonymous with the Motown sound that defined a generation. Yet beneath the surface of their soaring popularity, the dynamics within the group were complex. Otis often found himself at odds with David Ruffin, whose immense talent was sometimes overshadowed by his turbulent personality. Despite the internal conflicts, their music continued to thrive, resonating with audiences across divides. The incident in Columbia, South Carolina, was a stark reminder of the divided world they were navigating. Performing in an auditorium sliced down the middle by a rope segregating the audience spoke volumes about the societal challenges they faced. Yet, on stage, the Temptations sang as one, their voices merging in a powerful rebuke to the segregation that marked the era. Now, as the last standing founding member, Otis looked back on those days with a mixture of nostalgia and clarity. The tensions and triumphs, the music and the moments of discord, all wove together into the rich tapestry of his life. From the humble beginnings in Texarkana to the heights of Motown fame, Otis's journey was a testament to resilience, the power of music, and the enduring bond of those who sing together. In the early years of his teenage life, a young musician began forming his own music groups, adopting his mother's maiden name, Williams, as his stage name. This decision came around the time his family relocated to the west side of Detroit, placing him closer to the vibrant heart of the city's music scene. The move proved fortuitous, as it brought him into proximity with rising stars such as Barrett Strong and Eddie Holland, fueling his determination to carve out a successful path in the music industry. The musician eventually established a group known as Otis Williams and the Distance. They quickly started gaining local fame and even produced a regional hit. It was during this burgeoning period of his career that he had a significant meeting with Berry Gordy, who was on the brink of founding Motown Records. Surrounded by the dynamic energy and talent of Detroit, the musician felt primed to make an indelible impact on the music world, blending the church harmonies he had absorbed with the soulful rhythms he adored. This juncture marked the inception of what would be a music career characterized by both soaring achievements and challenging internal dynamics. At one community event held at St. Stephen's Community Center, his band delivered a captivating performance that resonated with the audience. Their stage presence coincided with a performance by the Miracles, who had just achieved their first major hit. As the set concluded, Berry Gordy, already a notable figure in the industry, watched intently. Deeply impressed, Gordy approached him in a serendipitous encounter by the restroom, handing over his business card and suggesting a potential collaboration if the musician ever found himself dissatisfied with his current management. This chance meeting would later prove to be a pivotal moment in his career. The band was ready for a change, and a big opportunity was about to come their way. The unseen struggles behind Motown's brightest stars. By the early 1960s, the band, The Distance, had gained some local attention, but they were finding it hard to make it big in the music world. Their problems with management reached a peak when a hit song of theirs was sold without their permission. This left the group feeling upset and ready for a change. At this low point, Berry Gordy, the ambitious founder of Motown Records, made an offer that was hard to refuse. The decision was made to contact Gordy, who then invited them to come to Motown to meet Mickey Stevens, the head of artist and repertoire, A&R. Sensing a real chance to make a fresh start, along with bandmates Elbridge, Al Bryant, and Richard Street, the decision was made to leave The Distance and explore new opportunities. At the same time, Eddie Kendricks and Paul Williams were also looking for a new direction after their group, The Primes, had broken up. This brought them all together, and they initially formed a new group called the Elgins. But they soon discovered that another group already had that name, so they renamed themselves The Temptations. This partnership not only changed their careers, but also helped create a new musical style that combined soul, pop, and R&B, winning over audiences around the world. The mix of Eddie Kendricks' high falsetto and the deep baritone created a sound that was immediately recognizable. Their high-energy performances, both in the recording studio and on stage, quickly caught the eye of Motown's top producers, including Smokey Robinson. In the formative years of The Temptations, Robinson was instrumental. He crafted and produced several hits that not only became timeless, but also elevated The Temptations to the pinnacle of Motown fame. Songs like The Way You Do the Things You Do, My Girl, and It's Growing are notable examples. These tracks, known for their catchy melodies and seamless harmonies, solidified the group's position at the forefront of the music scene. The path to stardom, however, was fraught with obstacles. The ensemble underwent frequent changes in its lineup and grappled with the intensifying demands of their growing popularity. The addition of David Ruffin in 1963 injected a fresh vigor into their music, marking a significant evolution in their sound. But this wasn't the end for the Temptations. The group continued to evolve, bringing in new talents like Dennis Edwards, who stepped in to fill Brian's spot and helped guide them through the ever-changing music scene. Whitfield pushed the group into new musical territories with tracks like Cloud 9 and Ball of Confusion, which showcased a more socially conscious and experimental side. While this period of change wasn't without its challenges, it ultimately brought the group recognition and helped them stay relevant while other bands struggled to keep up. But that wasn't the hardest part for the Temptations. The constant need to change and the fast pace of the music industry started to take its toll. In 1971, Eddie Kendricks left to start his solo career, and Paul Williams, battling health issues, also had to leave. Williams' fight with alcoholism and his tragic death in 1973, which was ruled decided to eliminate himself, hit him especially hard as they had been close friends and bandmates for many years. These events led to a period of uncertainty and instability for the group, as they frequently changed members and experimented with new musical styles. Still, this was not the end of their challenges. The second half of the 1970s proved to be difficult, with declining public interest and growing disagreements within the group. Despite these problems, he remained the steady force, guiding the group through this rough patch and looking for ways to refresh their sound and find new success. This included stepping away from their familiar style and trying to embrace the Philly soul sound, which turned out to be a tough transition in a period of trial and change for the Temptations. Now famous, the group faced new challenges to stay on top. The Temptations' resilient journey. The journey to find their new identity in a changing music landscape wasn't easy. While the group faced many setbacks, he kept pushing forward, determined to keep the Temptations alive and relevant, proving that their story was far from over. After that, they found themselves back in their hometown, facing the tough reality of trying to hold on to their unique style while also staying relevant in a music world that was always changing. Just when it seemed like the Temptations might disappear from the spotlight, they made a comeback in the 1980s. Rick James, a big name in music at the time, noticed that the Temptations still had a lot of charm and worked with them on songs like Standing on the Top. This collaboration helped introduce the group to a new generation of listeners. Plus, the Motown 25th Anniversary Special, featuring Michael Jackson's unforgettable moonwalk, and a lively face-off between the Temptations and the Four Tops gave them a fresh wave of attention. Hits like Treat Her Like a Lady and Stay proved they could still make songs that climb the charts and adapt to new musical trends. But that wasn't the hardest part. Throughout all these changes, he played a key role, steering the group through different stages of their career. This sometimes caused tension among the members, but his leadership was also crucial in keeping the group going while many other bands broke up. As he looks back on the group's journey, he talks openly about the obstacles they faced, from personal clashes and addictions to changes in the music industry. The influence of the Temptations has left a lasting mark, inspiring many artists along the way. But the challenges didn't end there. He reflects on their legacy and acknowledges the sacrifices they made for their success. The group faced constant pressure to perform, internal disagreements, and personal losses. Despite all this, he stayed committed to his vision of building a lasting legacy. In interviews, he has shared that while the Temptations faced many internal conflicts, his role was different from many others in the band. Unlike some members who were often in the spotlight as lead singers, he was mainly the group's organizer and a solid baritone who brought stability. His voice might not have been the main one you heard in their songs, but his presence was felt throughout. He provided the backing vocals that helped create the Temptations' signature sound. But that's not the whole story. He also added to the band's unique style with spoken parts in several tracks. His voice brought something special to songs like I'm Gonna Make You Love Me, a duet with Diana Ross, where he added depth to Eddie Kendricks' lead vocals. He also spoke during the intros of classics like Masterpiece. In the end, his most important job was being the steady force in the Temptations, guiding them through all the lineup changes and keeping the group going in the tough music business. He and Melvin Franklin, one of the other original members of the Temptations, made a promise early on. They would stick with the band no matter what happened. This commitment helped keep the group together through tough times, giving it a sense of stability and identity. Even after Melvin passed away in 1995, he continued to honor that promise. Today, at 81 years old, he is the only surviving original member and still performs with the band. He's been a part of every album, including their most recent release in January 2022, Temptations 60, featuring collaborations with their longtime partner, Smokey Robinson. Behind their success, personal challenges started to surface. The rising star and his turbulent heart. On a more personal level, his life has been a mix of big successes and difficult challenges. He married Josephine Rogers in 1961. The same year the Temptations were formed, they had a son together, Otis Lamont Miles. However, the pressures of his rising music career took a toll on his marriage, and the couple split up in 1964. Sadly, his son died in a workplace accident in 1985, a loss that deeply affected him. His love life had its ups and downs, too. He had an interesting encounter with another R&B star, Patti LaBelle. They met when the Temptations were performing at a club in Patti's hometown. Although Patti wasn't signed to Motown like him, she and her group, the Bluebells, were gaining popularity. They quickly became close and even got engaged. Patti recalls him giving her a lovely ring and dreaming about their future together. But the engagement didn't last. He wanted Patti to give up her music career and settle down in Detroit, something she couldn't agree to. Looking back, Patti realized she was more attracted to the idea of being with someone from the Temptations than to him himself. She couldn't give up her love for music and chose to end the engagement, returning the ring and focusing on her career instead. But that wasn't the end of his romantic adventures. He married Ann Kane in 1967, but this marriage also ended in divorce by 1973. Interestingly, Ann had previously worked as a housekeeper for another famous R&B couple, Ike and Tina Turner. In 1983, he married for the third time, this time to Aretha Goldie Williams. This marriage brought him a stepdaughter, Elon Carter, who later became famous as a Playboy playmate in June 1994. He began to ask for special treatment that set him apart from his bandmates. One clear example was his decision to travel in a fancy limousine lined with mink fur, along with his partner, Tammy Terrell. This choice to separate himself from the rest of the group was a noticeable change from the Temptations' usual practice of traveling together, and it caused some discomfort, especially for him. But that was just the beginning of his demands. Inspired by Motown's decision to put Diana Ross in the spotlight by renaming the Supreme to Diana Ross and the Supremes, he wanted something similar. He He suggested that the group be renamed to David Ruffin and the Temptations. This idea did not sit well with him or the rest of the band, as they felt it went against their spirit of working together as a team. Things got worse as Ruffin's cocaine use became more frequent. He started missing important meetings, rehearsals, and even performances. His unpredictable behavior and demands for detailed financial records added more strain to his relationships with the group. The band's patience was wearing thin, and he, who was seen as the group's leader, felt the pressure more than anyone else. But that wasn't the worst part. In June 1968, Ruffin decided to skip a concert in Cleveland to see his new love interest, Barbara Gail Martin, perform. This defiant move was the final straw for the group, and they decided to remove Ruffin from the band on June 27, 1968. The next day, Dennis Edwards, who had been a member of the Contours and was a friend to both him and Eddie Kendricks, was brought in to replace Ruffin. At first, Ruffin seemed to accept the decision. He even offered words of encouragement to Edwards. But this acceptance didn't last long. During Edwards' first show with the Temptations in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, Ruffin made a surprise appearance. He suddenly stormed onto the stage, grabbed the microphone from Edwards, and started singing lead vocals for Ain't Too Proud to Beg. This unexpected move shocked both the band and the audience. As tensions grew, the band's unity was put to the test. Unity under siege. The surprises didn't stop there. Despite the band's efforts to increase security and prevent Ruffin from causing more disruptions, he kept finding ways to sneak into concert venues and interrupt their shows during their July tour. It all came to a head during a concert in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Dennis Edwards often talked about this moment, emphasizing how tense and challenging it was for him and the band. At one point, the group thought about letting Edwards go and bringing Ruffin back. Ruffin had managed to win over a few members, and for a moment, it seemed like he might actually return. But Ruffin messed up by not showing up on time for the event that was supposed to mark his comeback. This missed chance destroyed any hope of fixing things. He and the others decided to stick with Edwards, and Ruffin's time of causing trouble at the Temptations shows was over. After that, Ruffin turned his attention to legal battles. In October 1968, he sued Motown to end his contract. Motown fought back, suing to keep him from leaving, but in the end, they settled out of court. Ruffin had to stay with Motown as a solo artist, cutting his ties with the Temptations. But this wasn't the end of his troubles. As all this was going on, he had to handle not only the fallout from Ruffin's actions, but also the growing tensions within the group. Eddie Kendricks, who had once been a close friend of Ruffin, started to distance himself from the other members. Kendricks didn't like the new direction the group was taking with their music. He preferred the old ballads they used to sing and felt out of place with the new psychedelic soul style. It wasn't just the music that bothered him. He often clashed with him and Melvin Franklin, sometimes even getting into heated arguments. Kendricks also believed that Motown was mishandling the group's money and suspected he was involved. His frustration grew so much that he seriously considered leaving the group, a thought he had been entertaining since as early as 1965. But that wasn't all. The decision to fire Ruffin only made Kendricks even more unhappy. He thought Ruffin should be allowed back into the group, despite him and the others being strongly against it. Feeling more and more like an outsider, Kendricks came up with a bold idea. He suggested that the Temptations go on strike. He wanted them to refuse to perform or record until Motown agreed to a full financial review by independent accountants. This suggestion was met with strong opposition from him and Franklin, adding more fuel to the fire. Things came to a head during a show at the Copacabana in November 1970. Between performances, Kendricks walked out, ending his time with the Temptations. He agreed that it was best for him to leave, closing another chapter in the group's story. The stress and tension of these years likely deepened his resentment toward Ruffin. In many ways, his strong dislike for Ruffin reflected his deep love for the Temptations. His intense feelings came from his dedication to the group and his determination to protect what they had achieved together. Was Kendricks right to push for a strike, or did his actions jeopardize the Temptations' legacy? Comment your thoughts and subscribe for more intriguing discussions.